You're listening to Move IQ's podcast. I'm your host, Phil Spencer, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce this season's co-host, my friend Chris Ducker. This is the place where I'll be sharing my advice, my experience, tips and tricks on all things property and moving home. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Go2 offer you an award-winning home moving service, from mortgages to surveys, conveyancing to removals. Their service means one simple point of contact, freeing up your time and taking away any hassle, enabling you to enjoy the move. Be sure to check out Go2.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Move IQ podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Ducker, with the one and only Mr. Phil Spencer here for episode number 3. How are you, Phil?
Hi, Chris. Yes, top form today, thank you. And yourself?
Very good. All about shortlisting today and the importance there of it. I'd like to kick off here a little bit with maybe a little bit of a controversial questions if we've got any real estate people tuning in.
Yeah.
And we'd love them to tune in, wouldn't we? I think this whole podcast would help them just as much as the buyer. But why do estate agents have such a bad reputation here in the UK?
The honest answer to that, Chris, is I genuinely feel that the majority of people don't understand or appreciate the role that the estate agent plays in the whole housing system.
Okay.
Estate agents are paid by the seller to sell the house in the quickest time possible for the most amount of money.
Right.
They are not paid to provide the buyer with the service. They obviously need buyers in order to sell the house and earn their fee. But at the end of the day, when all's said and done, they don't care about the buyer because the buyer is not their client. And I think if people actually kind of accepted that for what it is, there's no point getting cross with an estate agent for doing their job. They're salesmen. They're trying to sell you a house.
Right.
Just understand that, accept it, and take it on board.
Okay, so the relationship then is very important to obviously, get in place and to build upon. And a lot of the time, obviously, you need to build upon that relationship quite quickly out of the gate. How do we do that? How do we build that good relationship with the estate agent that we're working with?
Make sure it's a personal relationship. Visit them in person. Demonstrate how serious you are, how committed you are, how organised you are, that you're going to be a simple person to do business with. And actually, you know what the biggest secret is? It's somewhat revolutionary, Chris, but be very, very nice.
Just be a nice
Just
person.
Be nice to estate
agents. You heard
agents.
it here, people. I mean, I didn't expect you to turn into a life coach here.
It works.
Yes, it does. You're right.
The estate agents, yes, they work for the seller, but they are also gatekeepers to the properties and the information about those properties that you as a buyer need.
Right.
So turn up early, turn up on time, bring them a coffee. I mean, do anything.
Sticky bun?
Bring them a sticky bun, make them
sticky
smile.
buns are good, absolutely.
A lot of people don't actually bother to be nice to estate agents because they think, estate agents will. Well, that doesn't work. What does work is develop a nice working relationship. They're normal people. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're paying their own mortgage.
Yes.
They're not. If they like you and you like them and you've got a good relationship, they're going to help. They're not on your side, and you've got to be careful about all that you let slip about you and your situation and your finances and your
right.
whatever. But they're not going to want to see you walk away with a dud house if you've got on well with them and you've developed a relationship. They're human beings.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, through the work that you've done on all the shows and everything that you've, had the pleasure of being involved with over the years, this is something that the people on the shows, they like you. And that relationship is built quite quickly as well. You're there trying to find you're fundamentally playing that first role of an estate agent, for want of a better term. Would I be correct in saying that?
No. Sorry, Chris.
Well, you can set me up to fall here. But
the thing is, when I'm helping a buyer personally, or on the television, I've been out and I've gone to look at a lot of unsuitable properties. So when I ring my client up or my buyer on the television, I say, look, I've been to see 25. I think these 3 are the ones that you should take time out of your busy day to come and see.
But a normal
But a normal
estate agent won't do that.
No.
Right.
So he's got 25 properties to sell. They may be on viewing targets. Some estate agents are...
And what does that mean exactly for those tuning in?
that at the end of the week, he or she's got to report to their boss saying, I've done 25 viewings this week.
Right.
Well, did you sell a house?
Right.
Did you take the right people to the right house? Is actually probably more the relevant point. But the thing that I think buyers and indeed tenants need to be wary of is agents may well be on the phone saying, yeah, I've got this great house, you've got to come and see it, you've got to come and see it. And then this one and this one and this one. And it's up to you to manage that process and be careful about the properties. You want proper information about the properties that you are about to spend hours of your day going to look at. Ever more so if you're looking to move to an area that you don't know, or you're looking to move to an area that involves travel time for you to get there. So let the estate agent ring up and he'll bang on about the property's benefits. And that's him doing his job. Crack on.
He's trying to sell you a house, like you said.
Fine,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Once they've run out of steam on that, okay, so that's all the benefits. Sounds great, really interesting. But what are the weak points? Tell me, where is it weak? Every property has a weak point. I mean, even Buckingham Palace has a weak point. It's noisy. It's important. It's just as important to understand before you commit to going to a view. Is what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What is the view like? What's the traffic like? What are the neighbours like?
So you've got to maybe review the area first. Do a little bit of a drive around yourself as well.
Anything that you can do to sort of reduce the risk of you going to see something that was entirely unsuitable. It's up to you to do it.
Okay, so let's change gears a little bit here. So I've heard that a lot of estate agents will have what they kind of refer to as a bit of a buyer or hot buyers list. Is this real, or does it not exist, or do they have hot buyers lists?
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. Even in slower market climates, they still have hot buyers lists.
Okay.
And my thinking on this is, it doesn't matter what industry you're working in. If you're trying to sell Wellington boots, you're not going to make 50 phone calls to sell your Wellington boots if you can pick up the phone to 5.
Right.
You're going to call the 5 highest, most likely prospects first to see if you can sell your Wellington boots. And it's exactly the same in any industry, particularly with property. The estate agent takes a new property on. Well, I wonder who might that suit. They're not going to spend time and hours and money and marketing and effort showing it to 50 people. They're going to, who's definitely going to like this? Who do I definitely want to help? Who do I definitely want to do business with?
There's only so much time in each day, right?
It's the person who is nice,
Right.
organised, turns up on time,
Sticky bun in hand.
sticky bun in hand, got their solicitor on board, got their deposit ready, got their proof of finance all set to go, and is nice and focused about what they want. They're going to get the first phone call. Of course they are.
Love this. This is good stuff. Okay. So, Phil, I mean, it's one thing to kind of, look at shortlisting properties in areas that you do know quite well, because a lot of time people will just move a few streets away, right? They want a bigger property, but they want to stay in that local environment that they know and they love. But what happens when you don't know too much about the area that you're wanting to move to, but it's a nice area, there's good schools, etc., etc.?
The challenges become greater as the distance becomes greater and you are unfamiliar. But actually the importance of shortlisting also becomes that much more valid, because you don't want to be driving across the county, let alone across the country, taking up an entire day to go and see 2 properties that the estate agent have told you is relevant for you, and it turns out to be a waste of time.
Right.
On the Move IQ website, we have what I perceive to be a game changer in our property report. And if you get the postcode of a particular property that you could be interested in, you can plug in that postcode and it will spit out a very detailed property report. It's a 45-page report, and for me, I do think it's a game changer in the amount of information available at the time that you need it most, which is before you're looking at it, or you've just seen it and you're trying to decide, is it the property for you or not?
So
that report is really exhaustive, and what's around the property, what's in the property.
I was going to say, can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek? What sort of type of things will be included in there?
In the Move IQ property report is details about who lives in it, how much they paid for it, who lives next door, how much they paid for that, any planning applications that have been submitted, whether they've been refused or rejected on that property, the 15 closest planning permissions that have been approved closest to that property, the surrounding area, the amenities, the travel, the transport, the schools, the class sizes. It's a ton of really useful info.
So, Phil, where can people get their hands on the report?
The report is available on the moveiq.co.uk website. It's all there for the taking.
It's good stuff. For you guys, go and get your hands on that report. It sounds like something I wish I had last year when I was buying a property.
I generally don't think there's anything... Well, in fact, I know there's nothing else like it on the market.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for being with us as always. We'll be back at you again in episode 4 of the show, where we're going to be deep diving on probably one of the most important aspects of this entire journey, and that's how we should be actually viewing a property, what we need to look out for.
Yeah, this next podcast is an important one. You've got to have all of your senses. You've got to be hyper alert as you go around viewing a property. Everything counts.
Good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll be back at you again soon.
Bye for now. That wraps up this week's episode of Move IQ's podcast. Whatever podcast app you like to use, please do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'd also really appreciate it if you could leave a review. Reviews really help other people like you find us. For free resources and materials, head over to moveiq.co.uk. Thanks for tuning in.